You're on.
Good afternoon. My name is Dorsay Dujon, and I'm with the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council's History Collective. We are here in the home of Marion Spencer, and with us is Bob Herzog, and we're going to be talking to Marion. Would you please give us your name and your address?
My name is Marion Spencer, and I live at 1926 Michael Torino Street in Los Angeles.
Okay. Oh, great. You know, Marion, it's very special for us to be interviewing you today. And here we are in February, and it is Black History Month. Your background, as I understand it, is quite unusual and wonderful. And would you just take us back in time to where you were born and eventually come around to how you ended up in Silver Lake? But tell us about your early childhood.
Well, I was born in Los Angeles, and I've lived just 2 or 3 different places in Los Angeles, but ended up in Silver Lake in 1972. Before that, actually, I was brought as a baby to 1913 West Temple Street, and I went to Rosemont Elementary School, to Virgil Junior High, and to Belmont High School.
Oh, right here.
Right here. I haven't gone far. I've always returned. But I lived with my great aunt on Temple Street. And she was a remarkable person because she came here from the South. She brought her mother with her, who had been a slave, and that's the great-grandmother that I was raised with. So I had heard many stories from her, and it was very interesting and different.
Could you share a story with you remember?
I was very young, but I do remember that she said she always, as a child, she was always in the big house, in the master's house, away from the master.
And that made a difference in the quality of her life?
Yes, because she never had to work as hard as her brothers and sisters did. And I thought that was really kind of strange. But,
yes.
And I lived with her for a long time, and she was the one that took care of me for the early part of my life. I also had a brother that stayed with me there, but he ended up going to live with his mother, with our mother, I should say, but I was given to that aunt when I was 5 months old.
Oh,
so she was my mother for all of my life.
Oh, okay.
My father, I understand, was one of the first black firemen in Los Angeles.
Oh.
And he was from Tennessee, and his family, and my mother's side of the family was from, she was born in Central California, and her family was, my grandfather, I guess, was from Portugal.
Oh.
He was a seaman, a merchant seaman, and came all around somewhere and ended up in San Francisco. Then his brother went on to Hawaii. And it's really ironic that my brother, who I didn't live with but a very short time, ended up as an adult in Honolulu.
Oh.
And he met his great uncle.
Oh my goodness.
Which was
Very
really
interesting.
Yes. And did they form a relationship?
Yes, and this brother had a large ranch. I think it was for hogs or something. He raised
in Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
Oh.
my brother was a DJ, meeting boats and things over there and talking to people. And mentioned to this man, because he talked to everyone, that when he asked where he was from, this man told him he was from Portugal. And he said, oh, my mother's family was from there, and her name is Lopez, only it's pronounced Lopes. It's Lopes, because the difference in the two languages. And he says, well, that's my name. And that's how they happened to meet. That was, I thought,
That's a
very
marvelous
interesting.
story, yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
What were some of the things that your great aunt taught you?
oh, she was a wonderful woman, because she was not educated well, but when she got here, she was able to buy property. She worked hard and she bought property, and I guess they kept talking about crash, and I wasn't here then, but she said that she was sorry that she lost a piece of property that was down in South Los Angeles, but she had bought the house on Temple Street, and she was able to keep that one. So she worked, she had a beauty shop. She opened a beauty shop there.
Oh.
And also worked for some projects. I think they had it at that time. The government had the NRA and the SERA and all those different, or different ways to help people. So I remember her telling me that, and she would sew all the time. She said that's the Sewing Emergency Relief Association, SERA. And so that's what she did. But between that and the beauty shop, she was able to keep that property. And so that's how I happened to end up in this part of the world.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. So,
When did you start the creative process in your life?
it wasn't until after I got married, and then I had my daughter. I had both children.
When were you married? What year?
1942, 43, somewhere like that. And it was during the war. So I might mention that my father was in the First World War, and then he died very young. And then my husband was in the Second World War, and my son was in Vietnam War, and grandson said he's not going anywhere, but he joined the Air Force, but he's not seen service. Well, he's
Not
out,
overseas.
out now.
Yeah.
He did go overseas, but I guess I don't know if he was in wars or not. I don't think so. But anyway, I know what it is to have a family member in the service.
During wartime.
During wartime, because my husband was on a destroyer called the Turner Joy, and I was going to work, and I heard over the radio that the Turner Joy had been hit.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that's really something to hear something like that.
Oh, how long was it before you got news of your husband?
It was maybe a month later,
Oh.
but he was injured a little, but enough to come home and be hospitalized for just a short time and then go back.
And go back.
Yes.
Oh.
So
That had to be very difficult on you.
yes, it really it was. I'm sorry, I made a mistake because it was my. Did I say my son?
Well, you
I
said
said
no,
it was my son
your son that was
in Vietnam.
and was injured.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if I.
Yeah, because I was in World War II
Yeah,
at that moment.
no.
So okay, so it was your
It was
son
my
that
son.
was injured.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it's I think even more difficult knowing that your child is on
yeah.
a ship that was hit and you don't know what was going to happen.
Yes, but anyway, he was thought, okay, they
Oh,
healed
he
me.
came home all
He
right.
came home, all right,
That's
anxious to
good.
get out of the Navy.
Now, I want to back up a little bit to your dad, and he was probably one of the first firemen, black firemen,
Yes,
in the city. Was he at the station on Central Avenue?
he was on it, you know.
It's quite historic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a historic monument now.
Yes, yes, I know.
Extraordinary.
So,
Now, we were talking about the creative process, and
after I had children, I always wanted to dance, but my aunt, being a Baptist religion, and we couldn't dance, we couldn't go to shows, we couldn't do any of this. But after I got married, then I thought that's a good opportunity for me to try and see if I could dance. And Joe Rickard, who was a Russian, he was with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo.
mm-hmm.
And he opened a studio, and I took my little daughter with me, and we joined his group.
Now,
I told you.
didn't you go to another school to take your daughter for lessons, and they turned you down?
No.
You didn't? Because I had read a story
Oh.
about that, and that the mom then went on.
You know, there was an incident. There was an incident. And I just kind of said, well, what's new?
Well, what ended,
Yeah.
but he started, Joe.
But Joe started
Yes, after that
after
incident.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was when he started.
Mm-hmm.
It was because of that.
Right.
That was the motivation for him. He thought that anyone who wanted to dance should be able to
Right.
dance. Phenomenal.
Yeah. And he was a wonderful teacher and patient, but driving,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so.
How hard did you have to work in order to prepare for a company? Did you know that was eventually what you were doing?
No, I didn't, that wasn't my purpose. I wanted to dance, but it wasn't like I planned on that being a career. I just wanted to do it, and, you know, to take lessons and to see if I could do it, and as it turned out, I could do it. And then when they got ready to go on the road, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
my husband wasn't ready for me to do that. So I just gave it up. Not ready for no long-legged liberated females. So, you know, that was the end of that. But it certainly gave us an appreciation of that particular art.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter now has I think really lovely posture because of it, because she's almost 6 feet tall and she's proud of her height.
Oh,
And she says, Joe told me I needed to stand up straight,
yes.
and she always has.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What year was that?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me years because I can't remember.
Was it in the 1950s? Late 1940s?
50s, yeah, around there.
Around 53.
Mm-hmm, somewhere around there.
So your daughter would have been 12, 11?
Yeah, she was young.
Okay.
And my son also would go with us, and he wanted to dance too, and that was another reason my husband said, oh no. He wasn't about
To have a son that was dancing.
No.
But I think what was wonderful, though, is that your son had an appreciation for that,
Oh,
that
yes.
art form.
And he had a good sense of rhythm, and he could handle his body well. He's a good dancer now,
Mm-hmm.
you know. He has a son, and he's married, and, you know, and he laughs about it now. You know, he said, I wasn't going that way. But it was lovely that he had that experience too.
Yes. Well, the arts, I think when you have them as a part of your life, it really helps to mold your character, and it gives you confidence.
Oh, yes.
Did you find that to be true?
Yes. I think it was great for especially my children.
And today, have they carried that through into their lives?
No, but they're very strong people, and my daughter is she's a paralegal, and she travels quite a bit for the company, and she's very secure with herself. My son and his wife live in Santa Barbara, and when he went there, he had a bit of a adjustment to make. He married a Caucasian, and when they went to Santa Barbara, they were not really embraced right away.
Mm-hmm.
But he opened his own business, and he's done fine. He's been there for 15 years or so, and she has her own business. You know, they've just done really well.
Would you tell us what they do?
He sets up computers for businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and she is an accountant. And
Excellent.
also, she is a photographer, and last year she was able to have an exhibit in the Getty.
Oh.
She got a Getty wall or whatever.
Oh, how
several
wonderful!
walls.
How
So
wonderful!
even though that's not the way she really makes her living, you know,
Mhm.
but she does that. And she collects found photos, and she was able to get that, have that.
What are
exhibit.
our found photos?
You go to all different places and collect photographs of families and people. She went down south all around, and that was pretty interesting because she said, "Hey Bill, let's go down south, and you know, don't you want to help me?" And he says, "No way, dear. You go right ahead." So she and her girlfriend went down, and they ran into some really interesting people who just embraced them. And one of the women that she met has a son, had a son going to Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
and that woman's son came to visit them,
Oh, how
and
nice!
and they're friends with them now.
Oh.
And I thought, no, that's really, you know,
Yeah.
it's a small world, isn't it?
The type of photographs that she found, were they of families and
All kinds of families. Yeah.
those are very interesting. Looking at the old photographs, because they tell you a great deal about people of a particular time.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps like around the turn of the century.
Yes. They were just wonderful photos, and being a photographer herself, that was very interesting,
Yes.
you know, to her. And she's doing quite well now with her own photographs.
Excellent. Now, tell us a little bit more about your life and the other things that you did, since you've lived in Los Angeles all of your life.
Yeah, well, I guess I could start with, after I had a family, of course we didn't have any money or anything. I started going to school. I wanted to go back to school. So I did eventually go back to school, and I graduated from UCLA. And I became a medical technologist. And I looked long and hard at UCLA because that's this area that I knew, and Westwood, because I needed to buy a home. And it turned out that that the state did not pay as much as the county. So I ended up at Los Angeles County Hospital instead of UCLA Hospital.
Oh.
So then I had to start looking for a place to live that was close to my work.
Yes.
And it turned out that after living a couple of different places, I ended up in Silver Lake because I could go to the hospital either on the freeway or on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a place where I thought I could really enjoy living.
Now, you said you found the house. You're still married to your husband.
No,
You had divorced in the in between time.
yes,
After studying at UCLA.
yes.
And how many children did you have?
Two, a boy and a girl.
The daughter and your son.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So you found this house, and what year was that approximately?
in 72, I think.
72.
Oh, get down.
Now, he's part of the family.
And you know, you're sitting on the bench for the piano, and you notice the pillow was on one edge.
He
Well,
keeps
that's-
eyeing it. He keeps looking. He was sitting here
I
looking at
sit on the pillow, and she sits on the
She.
bench beside me.
Oh.
Whenever I play, she comes and sits there and leans. That's like-
So,
Maybe we can ask Marion to play something on the piano for us before the interview's
Oh,
over.
dear.
Oh, something simple, something by Mozart.
so what was living in Los Angeles like? Living here in Silver Lake, what was the area like in the 70s?
Oh, it was tranquil and serene. And I loved it because it felt like I was in a park almost. Because, you know, as you notice, some of the streets don't have sidewalks. And there are lots of trees. And of course, I'm at a high point. And it was interesting that I could go anywhere. And I really loved going to the opera in downtown. So that was like 10 minutes from curtain call.
Oh, yes.
And then there were all these freeways, any place I wanted to go. It's the location that's wonderful here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there used to be across the street, there were peacocks that lived over there. And they would walk across the street making noise and spreading tails and doing all of that.
What is the name of this estate?
It's called, I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay, it'll
It's
come.
a senior moment.
Well, I know.
Paramore
We all
or
appreciate
Paramore,
that.
or-
Paramore,
Par-
the Paramore.
Paramore.
Yes.
Before my time, before I became involved with the History Collective, they interviewed the daughter of the caretaker who lived in that little house at the
Oh,
back of
yes.
the lot, and she talked about the owners of the house and what went on there. So
Mm-hmm.
we have that on record.
It was a
that's good.
school at one time.
Oh, it was a girls' school,
A convent?
a convent,
Convent.
and a girls' school, and the nuns, you know, cared for those girls. And then, if you ask me a year, I won't know. But a big earthquake, damaged that house, the big house where the girls were, and the county, because the county paid for those girls to stay there. It was a county facility, and you know, they had to move, and then it was vacant for quite some time until the present owner start, you know, negotiations to buy it. And that went on for a long time, and she finally got it together.
Do you remember what you paid for this property back in that year?
About, I don't know, about 58,
Oh my.
58,000, something like that.
It's worth a lot more than that now,
A
isn't
little
it?
more.
Yeah. No, because I live in Silver Lake and I paid, what did I pay? $52,500 for my little house, which is worth a lot more than that. Now, it's amazing. This is for the record because it's part of our history. And we're one of the few areas that has not shown a decline in real estate value in Los Angeles. Not yet, anyway. So people want to be here and still are willing to pay the prices. And that's for the record as of this day in February 2008.
Right.
Let's hope it stays that way.
Well, yeah, I hope so. Because I would, as much as I love the neighborhood, I would like to get into a home that is on one level. This house, you may not realize, but it's on 3 levels. My bedrooms are upstairs and then this level. And then there's a downstairs that I use too. So I spend most of my time going either up or down for something that I need on another floor.
Oh, but it's a beautiful home.
Thank you.
It's beautifully decorated, and it's where it sits, and you have that magnificent view. Has very much changed about the view since you bought the house?
No, except that the trees have filled out and grown and everything, and I've lost some of the view that I had before. And there's some California oaks on the lot next door, and those trees have just grown and grown until I used to sit in my kitchen and I watched Los Angeles grow, but I can't see it now. And it has been purchased, but I don't know what's happening with it. It's just kind of sitting there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know the view of downtown must have been fantastic, because in the 70s, City Hall was probably the tallest building, and then everything else has sprung up.
Yes.
Well, there were a couple of high rises from the 60s. A couple of the bank buildings were built in the 60s. That's when it started to grow, and there were more added in the 70s, but there were high rises there.
Mm-hmm.
But for a long time, from here, the City Hall was the tall building. You know, it was distinguished.
Mm-hmm.
You know, distinguishable. You know, because of the way it was shaped and everything.
Sure.
And then Water and Power put that huge, their building. And that was,
On Bunker Hill,
yes.
across from what is now the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion
Music Center.
Music Center.
Mm-hmm. So all that has, I watched many of those other buildings, like the library tower you're talking about. I watched it go up.
It's 72 stories,
and then those 2 buildings that are in the California Plaza.
Yes.
Those 2 are fairly new. Well, I remember.
The Paul Hastings Towers. Yeah.
After you moved into this home, where did you do your shopping? Grocery shopping?
And Trader Joe. I mean, it wasn't Trader Joe,
Dave's?
but it was down the hill.
Yeah.
And it was a Mayfair that's now Gelson's.
Gelson's across the street. I've forgotten the name of that market. I've heard it mentioned several times in interviews. I think it was it Dave's? Or was that the one on Hyperion?
Oh, I can't think of it right now, but that market that's where Trader Joe's is now was a great market. That's
It was.
where I did,
I remember that.
yes.
What
And
about for clothing and so forth? Did you go to downtown Los Angeles?
Downtown and in Glendale.
Then in Glendale.
Yeah, but I really shop more on Wilshire because that's where I knew.
Bullock's Wilshire?
Bullock's Wilshire.
I Magnum?
I still have clothes that I bought at Bullock's Wilshire that are
So
still
I
good.
can't throw them away. They're
Can't throw them away.
I used to work
And
right
I
across the
Magnums.
street from Bullock's Wilshire, and then of course 2 blocks down is I Magna.
Yes. Yes, I did most of the shopping there.
How long did you stay at the county?
For 25 years.
Oh, fantastic.
And then you retired, or you took another job?
No, I came home for a while, and then I heard that Paris was the most beautiful city in the world, and I went to live in Paris.
Tell us about that.
How extraordinary.
I met Marion through the Silver Lake Seniors Writing Club, and she read a story from her. You should show us that beautifully scripted diary you had of your time in Paris. But anyway, she read one excerpt from it. Now, you might have read more before I joined, which has been recently, but it was a wonderful story about being there in the churches. And then she showed me the book, which we should have on camera. Her script is like it was typeset.
Oh.
No,
Is
your
it
calligraphy is beautiful.
So you lived in Paris, and where? What part of the city did you live in?
The first time I went, I lived on the periphery in the 20th, which is the old part and not so nice. And then I went back again. I lived there for about a year
And
Can you give
spoke
us
French?
a date,
Did you speak French?
approximately?
in 1998, 99.
Oh, that recently, okay.
Yeah, and then I went back to have some dental work done because I didn't believe they could. I saw some dental work that they had done and I thought, I'm coming back home for a month. I had to come back after 3 months of when I first went. And so I just had some, the dental work done. Then I went back and stayed for the rest of the year. And it's really interesting how people can come here and just walk into this country. And when I went there, I had to have 8 copies of so much stuff. A health certificate, a police report, a financial report, all these things, and they had to be translated into French. And then after I got over there, and there were many other things I had to have after I got over there, I had to have another physical examination. And of course, I had to have proof of insurance, and so that they had to be sure that I was able to be on my own and take care of myself. I wouldn't be a burden to them, and I thought, gee, what a difference.
Yes, yes.
Where did you live the second time you were there?
Second time I lived in the 7th. Oh,
I'll turn it off. Go ahead, answer it.
is it need to put filters on phones and all sorts of strange things, but my telephone I changed a lot of things around because I thought I should be on a budget, and I kept adding things, and then they gave me this list of things that I'd never ever use for a certain price, and they said, well, it's cheaper than picking up.
Oh,
You know how they do pick up.
Yeah.
If I just, but then when I had to get the DSL, the fast thing,
Right.
I started thinking, I just don't need all these things. So then I've taken some of the stuff off, like call waiting and,
Yeah.
So I have to rethink all of this.
well, dealing with the phone company is
Oh.
definitely trying at best.
I bought the filter and then I couldn't put it on. And according to the directions, I should be able to put it on. But one of the things don't fit, or either I can't do such strong things with my fingers anymore. But anyway, I'm going to have to call my son back and say, you better come down here and get my computer so that I don't have to go through all these things again and again.
Yeah.
The password and your address, and I shouldn't have to do that. And I have this old computer which I'm threatening to hook back up.
What is the new one? What did you get?
It's a Sony.
Okay.
The other one was a
Oh,
You're on.
things change, and using a computer, I know. I got a, let's see, I use a Macintosh, and I've got a Macintosh because once you take it out of the box, you plug it in, and that's it. It's done.
Someone told me that I probably should have gotten one of those. I just had a PC and I thought, well, I'm used to,
Using it.
I didn't want to change.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a war going on between the Macs and the PC people, and I've just used Macintosh all the time. But I think, you take it out of the box, and next month there's something else new that comes out, and I think I'm like you in that I like it to do certain things that I need, and beyond that, I don't need it.
Yes. Well, that phone really, I had to cut down on some of the costs, but I'm not sure that.
That they were in the right place.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to really think about this again and get everything back, because when the phone, right, then I thought, oh, I'll just wait and well, she could still call back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's still, I didn't have to answer that phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to Paris. I
Let's.
want to go back to Paris. What did you do while you were in Paris, and what were the things that you really enjoyed about Paris?
Oh, every day I was, you really don't need a large place in Paris. And I didn't, I got a studio the next time I went back. And I was out every day, out somewhere. I went to all the places that I'd ever heard or things I hadn't heard of. I just looked up places to go. And there were so many places I went that impressed me, but one of the most impressive places that I went was on the beaches where the war, where they have all the soldiers.
Normandy?
Normandy.
Mm-hmm.
And every place I went where Americans had any kind of monument or any kind of thing that the Americans built, I was so proud to be an American. They are absolutely beautiful. And I remember when I went to see where all the soldiers, where the Normandy invasion had been. I was not well. I really had a cold and I was shivering and it was raining and everything, and I thought a friend was with me, and I said, I think I'll just go sit down someplace and when I saw all of those white crosses, and they looked like they were marble. I'm not sure what kind of stone. It's some kind of stone. And I looked, and as far as you could see, and I said, I must go, because I had one friend who had died there.
Oh.
And I found his cross.
Oh.
So that was real, and it made me, and I thought, you're just go find him, no matter how you fit, because I would have felt worse to have gone, that
Been
far,
there,
and then didn't find him,
Yes.
So that was quite something. And in Monet, where his home is, there's United States, I can't think right, it might be a library or something there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gorgeous, just like, and of course when I was in Paris, I had an opportunity to twice go to the United States Embassy,
Oh.
which is something that could never happen here. Things happened to me in Paris that could never happen here. So that embassy is gorgeous. You can't imagine how beautiful it is. And then I made a habit of going to the same restaurant at the same time, like one day a week. I found out that on Mondays, plays were read in English. So I started going to, it's a Café de Flore, and I started going there every Monday night, and I met people, some of the same people. You get so that you know people there. And finally, after several months, I got a phone call, and this friend said, "Oh, Marion, we need someone to read one of the plays with us. Would you be willing to do it?" And I said, "Well, I can't." "Oh, yes, you can." So anyway, I did read at another cafe with this group who are professional actors there, and I read with them, and the play was called Dancing with God, and I was God.
Oh.
It was so much fun. And I thought, nothing like this could ever happen to me in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is the entertainment capital of the world,
Yes.
practically.
Oh my goodness, what did your family think of you leaving and going to live in Paris?
Part of my family thought I was just insane, but my son and daughter thought it was wonderful. So that's all I cared about.
Yes.
And they visited me more there than they do here. So it was just fun.
Yeah, I know. My son lived in Paris for a short time too, and I really enjoyed visiting him there.
Yes, there's just so much there.
Yeah. Did you ever experience any of the French who were not kind to you because
No.
you were an American?
No.
There was
No.
none of that.
In fact, the first time I was there, Clinton was president. And I was standing, waiting to go in one of the, I think it was the Dorsay, a museum there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was raining, and we were all shivering. And I said, and I just spoke in English to myself. I said, it's so cold. You know, they said, and this woman turned around and she said, you Americans are insane. She says, what business is it of yours what Mr. Clinton does in his private life? I thought that was so funny from someone, and she had a very definite, she was French,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, a thick accent, but she heard me, she knew I was speaking English.
So how is your French?
It's not very good. I keep forgetting. I keep thinking I've got to start back again because I want to go back. I have quite a few friends there, and I would say my best friend there, a couple that lives there, they came to visit me 2 years ago. It's the first time they had ever been out of France.
Oh, how
And they
wonderful.
came here because you know, the French people are really film buffs. They love the, you know,
Mhm.
the movies. And to be near Hollywood or in Hollywood, and they were avid hikers. So they would, you know, you've seen this hill where I live. They would hike down that hill in the morning. Because I took them I showed them where Hollywood Boulevard was. And for 2 days, they would get up early, hike down the hill, go to Hollywood, went to all the cemeteries, went to the film, Warner Brothers Studios, I think, where you can go and see,
Take a tour.
take a tour, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so they were just so happy to be here. And it was in the, you know, the weather was wonderful, and she would sunbathe out there on the, you know, on the balcony.
Mhm.
And I told her, I said, you really should maybe go on top, because maybe so many people won't be looking at me. She didn't think anything of just sunbathing, you know. On the,
In nude?
oh yeah.
Clay French.
Yeah.
So you plan to go back? And
I would like to go back.
to live for a while, or
No,
to just
well,
visit?
To visit, but when I get there, I don't want to just go and stay a week or so. You know, I'd like to stay some months,
Mhm.
because that's how I think I really fell in love with it, was because I stayed long enough to really meet different people, and I met people on all levels. People who were very, very wealthy and people who were very poor, and that was just such an eye-opener.
So, what living in Silver Lake this time, had you gotten involved in any organizations here? And
I did. I think the first thing I really got involved with was CPOR and the CSSLR, Committee to Save Silver Lake Reservoir.
yes.
And I think one of my friends asked me to join the group because I was, my major was microbiology, and they were saying DWP was talking about all the reasons why they had to cover the lake, and she said, surely there must be some, you know, maybe you could help in that aspect, or, you know, something.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's how I got involved in that. We did not cover the lake. And there's always some maybe good things and bad things about doing something like that. You know, there's a reason to do it and a reason not to do it. And it's, in this case, Washington puts out, you know, edicts and things when they have no idea of what it looked like they were talking about covering Lake Hollywood. You know, I mean, ridiculous kind of things just because they don't understand, you know,
What it means
what
to
it
the
really is.
and to the community.
Yeah, and maybe even, I mean, I'm sure they have the maps there, they know how big it is and all this, or, but anyway, that was really interesting, and I worked with the group and DWP for several years, and started out that we were kind of, you know, not very friendly, and ended up being very good, you know, having a very good relationship
Mhm.
with the department. And then in order to let the department know that we were really serious, we needed money. So then we decided to do fundraisers. So for 3 years, I worked as the chair for the Secret Gardens of Silver Lake. I named it because I thought, oh, there's so many beautiful gardens here, but nobody knows and you can't see them. So I called it the Secret Gardens of Silver Lake.
Oh.
And we did that to raise money to try and say to the department, you know, we'll match you dollar for dollar, but of course we couldn't match the dollar. But anyway, they ended up paying for the help that we needed, you know, to get things done around the reservoir.
Mhm.
And I even went before their board one day and asked them to continue paying for our attorney, and they said okay. So that for me was a really big thing.
Yes. Yes.
You know, to have that experience of going talking to the department.
Well, so much has happened. I mean, last April, the meadow was open for the first time in 60 years. And now, I guess it had been drained once before.
When I was, yeah, it was drained when I came here, I think.
And then now, but this issue with the bromides or whatever it is, it's been really very fascinating, but it's also been an issue that has brought the community together. One side not wanting to open the meadow, and of course people who want to be able to enjoy it as a park, because it is, well, it's valuable land there, but it's, I think, it's so much a part of the community that to be able to walk there or walk around it and even beyond it.
I thought it was wonderful that they have put a walk around, partly around the lake. And I walk every morning, and on weekends I go around the lake. From here, it's a long way. It totals about 5 miles that I walk from down the hill, from where I live, to go around the lake and then back up.
That's quite a walk.
Yeah, it's a big walk. And I have mixed feelings about that.
I'm going to have to pause this for a minute because I have to put a new battery in the camera, and then we have 12 minutes left on this tape.
Really, just so lovely to see all these different, all the and the birds, you know, and the squirrels were running all around and everything. And I think that we infringe upon, and of course, just like this place over here, there's no way it could just be there and not anything happen to it. You know, it had to be used, and I understand all that. The meadow, I think, if they take into consideration where these people are going to park, you know, they can just say, oh, well, these aren't going to be people driving, these are going to be people walking. Well, yeah, they walk, but they drive their cars. I see people every morning when I walk, park their cars and walk around the lake.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
what I do 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, so I want them to take into consideration, where are these people parking? You know, what's going to happen because the traffic on that Silver Lake Drive, the east Silver Lake Drive. It's really bad in the, you know, in the mornings
Yeah,
especially.
Going from one freeway to coming
they
off the
cut through-
freeway.
they cut through.
it. Yeah.
Excuse me.
You know, the battery I put in has 2 minutes left on
Oh
it.
dear.
I don't,
So,
well, we have 10 minutes more of tape, but I'm going to have to change this battery. But I did catch your opinions on the meadow, so
What were my opinions?
you just stated them about not opening it to the not opening.
That I was ambivalent about it.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
but
I'm
that's,
Now, but I do.
yes.
You know, I work with the Opera League, Los Angeles Opera League, and I'm on the hospitality committee, and I pick up people from the airport and bring them to their hotels and then take
I
them.
saw you at. I knew you looked familiar. I saw you at an Opera League meeting last year
Really?
down at the hotel where they have their meetings, their
Yes.
get-togethers, and
Mhm.
the free coffee and danishes, and they discuss Opera League stuff. That's where I saw you.
Well, I'm there. And then I also joined another part of that hospitality where we prepare food for staff dinners, and I appreciate that so much. So it's kind of fun, and I've had good experiences meeting the people. I think that was one of the things I read in the writing class, maybe, about one of the ladies I had picked up a couple of times, and the last time I saw her, she said, "Oh, Marion, I'm going to be in Los Angeles for several weeks, and if you want to, you could go to my place in Rome and water my plants and be there for 3 weeks while I'm here. We'll exchange." And she gave me this huge key, this great big key to her place in Rome. And I went.
You went to Rome?
I went, yes.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah. Some nice things really happen, you know. Some nice, interesting things happen.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, and I belong to the Wagner Society, and that's because when I was at UCLA, I was almost ready to graduate, and I had not had any fine arts. And the only thing left for me to take, and so that I could graduate when I was supposed to, was the history of the opera and the operas of Wagner. And I took those 2 classes, and then I was just in love with the opera.
Oh.
So that's how that came
Yes.
about. People, I don't know why, they ask me sometimes, how does it happen that you like opera? You know, well, all you have to do sometimes is be exposed to something,
Yes.
and then it's good. And I also used to go and read for the blind. I haven't done that for a while, but I did that mostly while I was working. I would go every week and do recording for the blind.
Mm-hmm.
It's down here on Hollywood Boulevard, and that was very rewarding. And we would, once a year, the people would come that we had read for and tell us, you know, how much they appreciated having books read. And there were all kinds of books, you know, from lawyers and even some people we didn't quite understand how they could need a book read. But anyway, we did. But because it's reading for the blind and dyslexic.
Oh.
And one of the actors I know, he could not read. You know, those people can't read. They can see, but they can't read.
Oh.
The dyslexic people.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So, you know, that was really good for a lot of them, and that was good for me too.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I did, and this is just recent.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, you're
Oh,
on. We've
good.
got 5 minutes
Okay.
left.
It's just the recent. I belong to this organization called CERT. It's with the fire department, and it is Community Emergency Response Team.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I got a certificate for that, and I'm working with them.
Excellent.
So that's what I do. And for years, I worked with the Los Angeles Conservancy, and I still do tours every once in a while for them, or sit, you know, whatever it is.
As a docent?
I was a docent
Mm-hmm.
for the downtown tour and the Art Deco tour. I haven't done that recently, but I'm still a member of the Los Angeles Conservancy.
Lynn Zuccaro did the Deco tour for the Conservancy
Oh, really?
for a long time.
Yeah, so it's been, Los Angeles is my city, and I love it, and I'm having a hard time trying to think even of leaving Los Angeles, but I would like a one-level house, you know?
I think you can find one.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult. I've been looking around to see where I could go, but it's hard to leave the neighborhood.
So you have to find one in Silver Lake.
Yes.
This has been a marvelous interview.
Oh,
And it's been a pleasure to meet you and to hear about your story about Los Angeles and Silver Lake and your family.
well, thank you, and it was good to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks. Would you do?
Oh.
I think it would just be a nice little finish to our interview to have you with the piano. Obviously, you enjoyed it. And I move the slant back where it was. And let me set up. Do you use this as your reading light for your music?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need it? Or you play something? Play
I'll
something.
just play, you can just stop me. This is one of the things, because I'm learning again.
Oh, it's recording.
Is it
Well,
through?
stop that.
It's okay?
Yeah, we're going. Hey, thank you. The
I made a
multi-talented,
lot of mistakes. I hope it was all
that's fine. The multi-talented Marion Spencer.
Oh,
Okay,
that was
we're off.
lovely.